All right. So, are you ready to take a deep dive into the world of chocolate money?
I have to admit, when I first saw this topic, I thought, what? Chocolate money? But after digging through all this material you've sent over all the YouTube videos and key points documents, it's actually quite fascinating.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like at first you think, wait a minute. But then when you start to think about it, like, we've had gold-backed currencies in the past.
Right.
Why not chocolate?
Exactly. And, you know, it's interesting because this is a real project, right? Like, we're looking at the BTSWT token, BTSWT, and they bill themselves as a virtual commodity currency tied to the global chocolate market.
And it seems like more than just like a fun idea.
Right.
It seems like they're really serious about building a whole ecosystem around this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the fact that they launched with 90% of the token supply available to the public from day one really speaks to that.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting too. And looking at the data snapshot you sent, was it 30% of those publicly available tokens have already been sold?
Yeah, as of today, 30% are gone. And it seems like people are really buying into this idea of chocolate money.
Okay, so that brings us to the BTSWT Trust.
Yes.
Which I saw mentioned a lot in these materials.
Right.
What exactly is the trust and how does it fit into all of this?
Yeah, so think of the trust as like a bridge between the token and the actual chocolate industry.
Okay.
It's designed to support the growth and sustainability of the chocolate market, which should benefit the value of the BTSWT token. It's a pretty fascinating idea.
So how are they actually doing that? Like, are they just giving money away to chocolate companies or what?
Well, it's a bit more nuanced than that. They've got a multi-pronged approach, and they're focusing on things like enhancing industry practices, promoting ethical sourcing, and really supporting those cacao farmers.
So they're really looking at it from the ground up, like the whole ecosystem of the chocolate industry.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they're even talking about potentially purchasing shares of some of the biggest chocolate companies in the world to gain influence and really drive positive change within the industry.
Wow, that's a bold move.
It is.
That's a big move. Have they actually made any moves like that yet, or is that still just in the idea phase?
Well, the trust is relatively new, but they are already starting to make some significant moves. One of their initial focuses has been on cacao production in East Africa, specifically in Kenya and Uganda.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they see a lot of potential in those areas. The climate and the soil are ideal for growing cacao.
Okay.
But a lot of farmers there lack the resources and technology to really maximize their yields.
Makes sense.
So the trust is stepping in to provide funding and support, helping these farmers build a more sustainable and profitable future.
So that does track with their goals of, promoting ethical sourcing and supporting the farmers themselves.
Right.
But what about the financing of the trust? Like, how are they funding all of this?
Well, they were initially funded with 3% of the total token supply at the project's launch.
Okay.
They also receive a small transaction fee on all BTSWT trades.
Okay.
Which ensures a steady stream of income for them.
So it's kind of like as more and more people buy and sell the BTSWT token, the trust has more money to put back into the chocolate industry.
Exactly. And again, a healthier, more sustainable chocolate industry should lead to a more stable and valuable BTSWT token.
I like it. It's a win-win. Right.
Exactly.
But you mentioned earlier that they're considering purchasing shares in some of the major chocolate companies.
Right.
That seems like a risky move to me. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's definitely a bold move. And like you said, there are definitely risks involved. But, it could be a brilliant way to really accelerate their impact on the industry.
So how would they even go about doing that? I mean, how do you even start to do something like that?
Well, they're exploring a few different options. One idea is to focus on companies that are already making strides towards sustainability and ethical sourcing.
Okay.
Maybe give them a little boost. Another idea is to target companies that have significant potential for improvement, but might need a push in the right direction.
I see. But even still, buying shares in a major corporation, I mean, how much influence can they realistically hope to gain by doing that?
Yeah, it's tough to say for sure.
Yeah.
But even a small ownership stake can give them a voice at the table.
I guess so.
They can use their position to advocate for changes in corporate policy, promote transparency, and really hold these companies accountable for their actions.
And it's not just about the money, right? It's about the whole BTSWT movement. They're trying to get consumers on board.
Exactly.
To kind of push for change as well.
It's all about community engagement and leveraging the power of that movement to amplify their message and put pressure on these companies to do better.
So they're trying to build a coalition of conscious consumers to change the industry. Interesting. But, we've been talking so much about the trust, and I kind of almost forgot that this is all tied to a cryptocurrency.
Right.
So let's actually talk about the BTSWT token itself. How is it designed and what makes it unique in the world of crypto?
Yeah, that's a great question and a perfect segue into the next part of our deep dive.
So let's zoom in on the BTSWT token, or BTSWT. What sets it apart from all the other crypto out there?
Well, I think it all comes down to tokenomics, really.
Okay.
And as we've already touched on, 90% of the total supply was made available to the public right from the get-go, which fosters a really large and diverse market for the token.
Yeah. It's interesting to see how many have already been sold to,
Yeah.
Seems like people are really interested in this.
It seems like it, yeah, and without all the hype that you usually see with new crypto projects, it's just kind of organically grown, which I think is really cool.
So what about the other tokens? Where did those go?
Yeah, so 3% went directly to fund the BTSWT Trust, which we've already talked about.
Okay.
Then another 2% were allocated to the creator.
Okay.
But there's a catch.
What's the catch?
So those creator tokens are locked for 2 years and then gradually released over 3 years. So that ensures that the creator is really invested in the long-term success of the project.
Well, that's interesting.
And it's a really important signal to the community, right? That this isn't just a pump and dump scheme.
So they're in it for the long haul.
Right.
Okay.
And then there's the LP tokens, which are essential for maintaining liquidity in the market. And get this, they're locked for 10 years.
10 years. Wow.
Yeah, 10 years. So you really don't see that with most crypto projects. It shows that the BTSWT team is really serious about this.
They're in it for the long game.
Absolutely. They're absolutely playing the long game. And then there's one more detail that really sets them apart. The token contract will be renounced 90 days after active public trading begins. Renounced.
What does that even mean?
It means that the creator is going to give up control over the token's smart contract.
So it's like giving the keys to the community.
Exactly, yeah, making it a truly decentralized project.
That's a huge step, especially for a crypto project.
It's huge, and the BTSWT movement is really excited about that. They see it as a big demonstration of trust and really a way to ensure that the project's future is guided by the collective will of the community.
Yeah, speaking of the community, they seem so passionate about this project.
They really are.
I've seen them all over social media.
Right.
What are their hopes for the future of BTSWT? What do they want to see happen?
Oh, they've got tons of ideas. They're actually actively discussing plans for a mainnet.
A mainnet.
Yeah, so that would be a separate blockchain specifically for the BTSWT economy.
Okay.
Which would mean faster transactions, lower fees, and greater control over the token's development. Really cool stuff.
That sounds like a huge milestone.
It is.
How far along are they on that?
Well, creating a mainnet is complex, but the community is definitely up for the challenge. They've already started organizing working groups and reaching out to developers to explore the technical aspects. It's really cool to see them mobilizing.
It's pretty impressive to see how quickly they're kind of taking ownership of the project.
Yes, it really is.
But even with all of this, the dedicated community, the plans there have got to be challenges along the way, right? Like, what are some of the hurdles that they're going to have to overcome?
Yeah, well, the biggest challenge for any cryptocurrency is really gaining that mainstream adoption.
Okay, yeah.
You can have a great idea
right,
and a dedicated community.
Yeah.
But people need to be able to use it, in their daily lives.
So it has to have real-world utility.
Exactly.
So how do they bridge that gap between crypto and the everyday consumer?
That's where the community comes in again.
Mm-hmm.
So they're already exploring ways to make BTSWT more accessible and user-friendly. So they're talking about developing things like mobile wallets, point-of-sale systems, and even partnering with businesses that would accept BTSWT as payment.
So it's not just about trading the token.
Right.
It's about building a whole ecosystem around it.
It really is.
Okay.
They want you to be able to buy your morning coffee with BTSWT or buy groceries,
right,
book a flight, all of that.
And potentially use it to buy chocolate too.
Of course. And with the BTSWT Trust investing in the chocolate industry, that is a real possibility.
I like it. Okay, so now you've got me thinking about all of this, and I almost forgot about one of the things in the key point stock that really struck me.
Oh, yeah.
Which was this Pumping for Charity initiative.
Yes.
So is that still going on?
It is, yeah. So a custom-built bot purchases and trades up to 3 billion tokens.
Okay.
And then all of the proceeds are donated directly to small-scale cocoa farmers and missionaries in Africa.
So they're like manipulating the market, but for a good cause.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's generating more liquidity, attracting new investors, all while supporting those who are really essential to the chocolate industry.
So it's another example of how they're blending the financial innovation
Right.
with social impact.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about the trust, the community, the tokenomics, the pumping for charity.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? What's the next chapter in the BTSWT story?
That's where things get really interesting.
All right, so the big question, what's next for BTSWT?
Well, the potential mainnet launch is really exciting.
Right, we talked about that earlier.
A separate blockchain, just for the BTSWT economy.
But remind me why that's such a big deal.
It gives the community more control
Okay.
over the token's future, potentially faster transactions, lower fees, and it just opens up so many possibilities.
Like what? Give me an example.
Imagine like a decentralized marketplace where you could use BTSWT to buy chocolate directly from the farmers. You could track the bean to bar journey and even participate in like the governance of the whole thing.
So it's taking this idea of chocolate money to a whole other level.
Yeah.
But building a mainnet is no easy task, is it?
It's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
They're going to need the technical expertise, resources, and they're really going to need to rally the community to get this done.
So it's a real test for them.
Yeah, but if they pull it off, the payoff could be huge.
Yeah, they could really turn this project into a full-blown chocolate economy.
Right,
That
exactly.
would be pretty wild. Now, what about exchange listings? I mean, any chance we'll see BTSWT on something like Coinbase or Binance anytime soon?
Well, it's definitely on the roadmap, but they're being strategic about it.
Yeah, I mean, they can't just jump on any exchange, right?
Right. They want to partner with platforms that really align with their values and their long-term vision.
So they don't want to compromise their values just to get listed.
Exactly. And they're also really focused on the regulatory side of things. They're working to educate regulators and advocate for clearer guidelines for the whole crypto industry.
So it's a balancing act, right? Pushing for innovation, but also making sure they're playing by the rules.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something the whole crypto world is dealing with.
For sure. So you've spent some time with this BTSWT project now. What excites you the most about it?
Besides the chocolate money thing, which is just inherently cool.
It's a great hook.
It is a great hook, but I'm really impressed with their commitment to social impact.
Yeah, it's not just about profits with this project.
No, they're trying to make a difference, make the world a better place.
Yeah.
Through chocolate and blockchain. Who would have thought?
Yeah, it's really cool. So I think we've covered pretty much everything today, right?
I think so.
We've talked about the BTSWT token, the community, the BTSWT trust, the potential mainnet launch, the challenges they're facing.
Yeah, and it's clear that this is more than just another crypto project, right? It's a real social experiment.
Yeah, they're trying to do something different. But here's a thought for you, our listener. What if, this is just the beginning, what if BTSWT inspires other communities to build similar ecosystems around the things they're passionate about?
Oh, I like that.
Imagine like coffee coins promoting fair trade, art tokens supporting artists, or even education coins changing how we learn.
Yeah, that's awesome. The possibilities really are endless.
So maybe someday we'll be doing a deep dive on your favorite thing and how it could become a currency for good. But until then, stay curious and keep on exploring.